The first call, it's a call and response. We're all familiar, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the first call is, I'll say New York needs. You'll say real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. And this is like, I'll give you the rhythm, okay? New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. Ready? The second part that goes together with it, that we'll generally do two and two. All right? Fire, right? Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. Pretty repetitive, okay? So, New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. Okay? Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. Thank you, y'all. Okay, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it 2 more times, all the way through. New York needs real safety. Fire Davis and Thompson for Kowalski. New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. New York needs real safety. Fire Davis and Thompson for Kowalski. New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. Don't get the sequence right. I know I switched up on you. I'm sorry. But that was great. Thank you, y'all. We're gonna go on to the next 2. Okay. My call is Adams and Sewell. And then that's me. Then y'all are don't deny Kowalski Trawick should be alive. I'm doing the his name correct? Yeah? Okay. Adams and Sewell, don't deny Kowalski Trawick should be alive. Adams and Sewell, don't deny Kowalski Trawick should be alive. Adams and Sewell, don't deny Kowalski Trawick should be alive. Okay, we go with that rhythm?
Yeah.
Okay. And my last, okay? Fire Thompson and Davis, and never forget. Actually, this is not a call and response. We're just going to do it together. Okay, ready? Fire Thompson and Davis, and never forget. Kowalski Trawick was not a threat. We're repeating it 3 times, okay? So get the rhythm and join me, okay? Fire Thompson and Davis, and never forget. Kowalski Trawick was not a threat. Fire Thompson and Davis, and never forget. Kowalski Trawick was not a threat. Fire Thompson and Davis, and never forget. Kowalski Trawick was not a threat. Those are my 4. We might do a little singing if it feels right as well. We'll go with that. But this is my thing. You want to do it again? 2 more? Okay, cool. I love the immediate interaction, y'all. Thank you.
It's hot today.
1 more of it all?
Yep. Or 1 more of any.
Okay. So from the top. Okay. New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. New York needs real safety. Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski. Y'all are doing great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over.
Wait. So, first of all, thank you all so much for being here today. I hate that we have to continue to gather in moments like these when we're talking about the experiences of Black people, not just in the city of New York, but across these yet-to-be-united, racist, classist, homophobic states. My name is Jawanza Williams. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm Director of Organizing at Vocal New York. We're here today with the Justice Committee and the parents of Kowalski Trawick to commemorate the 4th year, the 4 years of anniversary since Kowalski was murdered by the NYPD officers Brendan Thompson and Herbert Davis.
That ain't right.
Mrs. and Mr. Trawick, standing beside me, and the Justice Committee just came from a meeting with the Civilian Complaint Review Board in preparation for the discipline trial that starts on April 24th. As a Black, queer man, the killing of Kowalski Trawick is personal to me.
Right.
For the 100th time, what about us? What about accountability whenever Black people are executed by the state?
Yes. What about us?
Kowalski was summarily executed by by 2 police officers living in supportive housing where he's supposed to be safe, supported. People in this world living with mental health complexities do not deserve the bullet. They do not deserve the boot. They do not deserve electricity, and their families do not deserve the mental anguish of losing a child. So the least of what we need is accountability. I love how the police across this country, they are quick to release a video when it further legitimizes their mobilization of violence. Again, they are quick to release videos when it legitimizes their mobilization of violence. But when it is time to be held accountable in a democracy, it's like pulling teeth to have video released. Kowalski's video, the murder on video, was held secret for over 20 months. So if you don't know his name, learn it today. Kowalski Trawick, a black queer man who loved his family, who loved his sisters, who was loved in his community, who came to this state, like so many of us, seeking a life where he could realize his dreams, where he could realize his dream of being a dancer, an instructor, working to make this city what it is. Killed, executed. And when accountability is called for, things are silent. I want to give you a few details, but we have speakers here. Friday will mark 4 years since Kowalski was gunned down in his own home. He had been locked out of his apartment, and the fire department came and they let him in without incident. This is on video. Subsequently, NYPD officers Brendan Thompson and Herbert Davis came a little after and shot him dead in less than 2 minutes. Remember where he is. His own home, door closed and locked.
Right.
Reminds me of Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
Door closed and locked inside of a supportive housing building. If you don't know what supportive housing is, it is a site, a residential site with a host, a lexicon of services for people that are in need to be supported, to be safe. Yet even here, at this site, we are not safe from the violence of policing, from the violence of homophobia, from the violence of abject racism, and still no accountability. Herbert Davis broke the chain to Kowalski's door without justification, gaining illegal entry into his home. Illegal entry into his home. When Kowalski was cooking dinner for himself, asked him, "Why are you in my home? You have entered into my space, my safe space, so I'm asking you, tell me, why are you here?" There is no excuse not to respond immediately. We are here for what? Because you lost your keys in your supportive housing? Because you shouted in the hallways? Because you knocked on doors? I'm sorry.
New York
Take your time.
needs safety.
You got it.
As Kowalski tried to explain, or ask, "Why are you in my house?" They tased him, and then they shot and killed him. They shot and killed him. In this period in American democracy, we should all be incredibly alarmed that a person can be secure in their own home and the state's police can mobilize violence, kill them, and not be held accountable. These are the specter of these fascist white supremacist states. Kowalski was a human being with a family, but he is also a symbol, a reminder of how none of us are safe. And some of us are more unsafe, in particular, Black people, queer people, trans people, poor people, people with mental health complexities. Those complexities often produced by the same kinds of public policy, the same kinds of anti-Black culture that produces a culture of violence. These are the things that we're up against. And Kowalski, unfortunately, was killed in this context. They murdered him in cold blood. Make no mistake. So, the reason we are here today is that there is a discipline trial for these two officers that starts on April 24th. But the road to this discipline trial has been paved by cover-ups, delays, and obstruction by the NYPD, two mayoral administrations, and the Police Benevolent Association, the PBA. The NYPD lied and spread misinformation and refused to release the names of the officers immediately after the killing. They often do this to mute public outcry, and there was public outcry. People in this space immediately mobilized in the name of Kowalski, in the name of justice. And the NYPD and the city of New York hid the full footage and had to be sued for it. They had to be sued for the truth. We had to activate the courts for something as basic as surveillance imagery. That's why reformist reforms do not work. Again, if you wonder why more people don't know who Kowalski is, it's because New York City government at the highest levels intentionally lied about and then hid information about his killing. Just last week, with the trial coming on April 24th, Thompson and Davis were able to change the dates of the trial, even though the dates had been confirmed since last year. They only now said that they need to have the NYPD official testify, and that official is somehow on vacation for the 2 weeks of the original trial dates. That's irresponsible. That's obstruction. That is not just. So now, the Trawick will have to take more time off for work, fly back and forth from Georgia to New York to be present at that trial. And that's not fair. It's disrespectful, and it only benefits Thompson and Davis. There are more examples of these cover-ups, delays, and obstructions, but I want to hear from the people who are here. And first, I want to hear from his family, who have come here to be with us today. So first, I would like to introduce Mrs. Ellen Trawick, the mother of Kowalski Trawick, and Mr. Ricky Trawick, the father of Kowalski.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out to support Ricky and I. My name is Ellen Trawick. I am the mother of Kowalski Trawick. Kowalski came to New York to pursue his dream of becoming a dancer. But instead, Brandon Thompson and Herbert Davis took him away from us. Brandon Thompson and Herbert Davis took Kowalski's life in less than 2 minutes, 112 seconds. We have had a meeting this morning with the CCRB, and the trial will start on April 24th. My family and I would like your support in standing with us during the trial week and letting everybody know that Brandon Thompson and Herbert Davis took Kowalski away from us. They murdered him. Right. Brandon Thompson and Herbert Davis should be fired.
Yeah.
My husband and I are traveling back and forth from Georgia to New York to see to these two officers are fired. And we need the support of New York. We need Mayor Adams and Commissioner Sewell to fire these two officers. They should be held accountable for murdering Kowalski.
That's right.
Kowalski should still be here with us today. He was killed in his home doing another thing that he loved to do, which is cooking. Kowalski would cook, prepare meals, and send meals to his family and compare his cooking to his father's cooking. That's the type of person he was. Kowalski loved his family, and we love him. He was very supportive to his sisters, his grandparents. He should still be here with us today.
That's right.
Brandon Thompson and Herbert Davis should be held accountable for taking Kowalski's life. So we're asking that you support us, stand with us during the trial week, reaching out to the mayor and Commissioner Sewell to have these officers fight. That is the only way. That is the right way. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Kowalski's father, Ricky Trevor. Kowalski was a good kid. Kowalski didn't bother anybody. And my son definitely did not commit a crime. He was in his apartment, minding his own business, when these two officers come there to talk to him and took his life. I appreciate everybody that's out here that comes here for our support, and I certainly do need your support throughout this trial to help us to go on with this trial. Please, those cameras, many times you gotta roll. I want these two guys right here.
Yes.
Fired. These two guys.
Yes.
Thompson and Davis. I want them fired. They need to be fired.
Fight.
New York City is not safe with these two officers.
That's right.
So please, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for coming here. Next, I would like to bring up Iris Baez, the mother of Anthony Baez, who you'll remember was killed by the NYPD in 1994. Mrs. Baez is a longtime leader of the Justice Committee, and one of the few mothers who've been able to get the cop who killed their loved one fired by NYPD. Anthony Baez was the only case in the past few decades where the officer was convicted by the Department of Justice. Iris? All right.
Iris!
4 years has been too long for the cover-up. The mayor should already have done something about it. I'm tired of them not putting on their pants on right and do something. Don't be scared of the police. Do something. And in this case, you already got the film, you got the tape, you got the evidence. So do something. Stand up. The DOJ have to stand up. All of you got to stand up and do something because you got the tape already. And what more proof do you need?
Right.
The truth overpowers lies and cover-up
That's right.
and perjury. The truth always wins. And we got the truth on our side. So let's put these two cops away. Let's fire them first, and then we go and we put them away where they deserve to be in jail.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Baez. Next, I'd like to bring up the attorney for the Trawick family, Royce Russell.
Once again, I want to say thank you for all the media coming out. When this incident first took place, the killing of Kowalski Trawick, we had the pandemic, which covered up basically any real news coverage of this young man's death. But COVID has passed. Unfortunately, time has passed. And hopefully we will not let time dissuade what our eyes saw on April 14th when Kowalski was shot dead in his home. We are in a very unique and ironic time because we have a mayor who has professed and continues to profess how he was beaten by police and how he was able to take a negative and make it a positive. Well, guess what? Special K Kowalski doesn't have the time nor the space to make a negative a positive because he's not
That's
here.
right. That's
All
right.
he's received and all his family has received is negativity. As this case has gone from one mayor, from one commissioner to another, to another, to another.
That ain't right.
All right?
That ain't right.
I stand here representing the Trawick family, but I also stand here as a father. I also stand here as a member of this community, understanding that when we send our kids, people of color, out into the world, we have to have that talk.
Right.
But what do we do in this case? Where the talk means nothing because now you're in my home.
That's right.
What happened to A house is a man's castle.
Mm,
What happened to the last layer of privacy,
that's right.
expectation of security, expectation of safety? Where did it go?
Mm-hmm.
Does it take this long to realize that these officers are not fit to be on the force? I wear glasses, but how many eyes do I need?
All right, now you better say that.
How many eyes do you need when you see what happened that is on tape? Does it take a subpoena and months and years in court for the truth to come out to the community? We made the election. We heard the rhetoric of the mayor. We see that there's a new commissioner. There's one thing to have accountability. There's another to have reliability.
That's right.
And right now, I don't see anyone being reliable.
That's right.
We can't account for or rely on the fact that a case is going to start when it's supposed to start. I have reverence for police, but there is boundaries. There's a beginning and the end. The clock doesn't only go around for their schedule. What about this family?
That's right.
What about coming back and forth from Atlanta to stand for their loved one? We ask that throughout this trial you stay committed to getting this story out. We ask that you stay in support of this family. I know I will. How about you?
Yeah.
And we thank everyone for taking the time out today to show this support. Thank you.
Thank you.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
And if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and we don't get it,
Shut it down!
Thank you to the attorney, Mr. Russell. Next, I would like to bring up New York City Council member Pierna Sanchez.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Friday will mark the horrible 4-year anniversary of the tragic death of Kowalski Trewick, a young black man from my neighborhood in the Bronx who had dreams of opening up his own dance studio.
Mm,
It's painful to think of how his life was cut short in just 2 minutes.
That ain't right.
Kowalski was killed. That ain't right. He was killed in a supportive housing complex, a place that he was supposed to feel safe in. And yet the officers illegally entered his home, escalated instead of de-escalating. They should have been there to offer support.
that's right.
And instead, they brought violence. This is not acceptable. This is a public safety threat to all New Yorkers. And this is a tragic loss of life for our neighbor and our son, Kowalski. The Trewick family has been waiting for accountability for 4 years. And that is far too long. The Deputy Commissioner of Trials must stop the delays. We must hold these responsible for Kowalski's death accountable. Miss Ellen, Mr. Ricky, Miss Asmita, I don't know if you're here today, and all of the family and friends, we're here in solidarity, calling for accountability, calling for these 2 officers to be immediately fired.
Yes.
To be clear, there is no justice to be had. Justice would be Kowalski being here with us still.
Right.
And so we ask for accountability. And we stand in solidarity with this family, the beloved Kowalski Trewick family, as they continue to mourn. We offer our deepest condolences, and we want them to know, we want you to know that we're here for you. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to stand with you as you fight this fight. We call on the NYPD, on the commissioner to hold these officers accountable. These officers should be fired when?
Now!
Immediately, right now. And they should be held criminally responsible for their actions.
That's right.
They didn't answer questions when Kowalski asked, "What are you doing here? What do you want?" They barked orders. Again, this was a supportive housing facility, and they brought violence, not support. As a new mother, I can't imagine the depth of this loss on this 4-year anniversary coming up on Friday. And I stand here especially raw today because just 2 weeks ago we had a similar episode also in my neighborhood with Raul de la Cruz, whose mother I visited last week. Raul was shot in my district after his father made a mental health distress call to 311, and he remains in critical condition. Kowalski came to New York City. We have to remember him this way. He came to New York City chasing a dream. He loved to dance. He wanted to bring love and light to others. Let us remember him in this way, happy, positive, as we continue to demand accountability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to bring up New York State Senator Julia Salazar. Before Julia Salazar, our senator, joined the state senate, she was part of Jews for Racial and Economic Justice,
Yeah.
and worked in coalition with Justice Committee and other groups to fight for justice for Romarley Graham, Delron Smalls, and others. Today is Romarley Graham's birthday. He was only 18 years old when he was killed in what should have been the safety of his home, just like Kowalski. Senator Salazar was in the streets with us at marches and protests to demand the firing of cops who killed Romarley. It took 5 years for the disciplined trial of one of those cops, Richard Hayes, and Romarley's mom had to keep fighting for another year to force another of the cops off the force. Senator Julia?
Thank you, Juwanza. I want to be clear that we are here today for Kowalski Trawick. We are here today because Kowalski, of course, cannot be here with us because he was unjustly killed by 2 NYPD officers. We are here today to stand in solidarity with Kowalski's family, with those who loved him. Today is about him. But I would be remiss, as Juwanza mentioned, if I didn't acknowledge that today is the heavenly birthday of Romarley Graham. Romarley, who should also still be with us, who should be 30 years old today. And I mentioned Romarley not only because today is his birthday, but because of the harrowing, the horrific similarities between the killing of Romarley Graham and the killing of Kowalski Trawick. That both of these young men, beautiful black men living in the Bronx in their own homes, their space was invaded by NYPD officers who broke into their homes and killed them. That is outrageous. And it would be sufficient, it is sufficient for us to be here today for Kowalski, for Kowalski's family. It is beyond sufficient. But it is even more outrageous that we are here more than 10 years after Romarley Graham was killed under similar circumstances. It is outrageous. You know, representation is important, right? We know that it is important for us, for black and brown people, for LGBTQ people, to have people who represent our communities in positions of power. But what good is it? How can it be that now we have black and brown faces in high places, and yet we still have NYPD officers killing young black men in their homes with impunity? That is outrageous. And the reason we are here today is because we cannot allow it to ever happen again. These officers need to be fired. They need to be fired. We are calling on the police commissioner, we are calling on the mayor to do their jobs, to fire these officers, Officer Thompson and Officer Davis, for what they did to Kowalski. We cannot bring him back, and that is truly an injustice that we cannot repair, but we have to prevent this from happening to another young, beautiful black man in our city. Thank you. That's right.
Thank you, Senator Salazar. Next, I'd like to bring up the New York City Public Advocate, Jumaane Williams. But before he comes to speak, I want to say that Jumaane was the first New York City elected official who stood with the Justice Committee and others in 2019 to demand answers about why Kowalski was killed in under 2 minutes and to challenge the NYPD around Kowalski, including when the NYPD refused to release Brendan Thompson and Herbert Davis's names. Jumaane has also been consistent since 2019 in publicly supporting the Justice Committee and Kowalski's family in their demand to fire Thompson and Davis for the unjust killing of Kowalski. Again, New York City Public Advocate, Jumaane Williams.
Peace and blessing, love and light, everyone. 4-year anniversary. It would be awesome if we didn't know Kowalski's name, and if these parents were here to see the progression in their son's professional career as a dancer. That would have been awesome. That would be justice. Unfortunately, we do know his name, but for the wrong reasons. I don't understand what else you have to do wrong in your job to lose it. I have seen the video. People have seen the video. What we see, by the way, is a tale of how different agencies react to the same thing. Because people often bring up the knife. Kowalski had a knife in the hallway when the FDNY approached him and let him in. They didn't feel threatened. They didn't kill him. He had a knife in his kitchen, where it's probably the best place to have a knife. Another agency busted in the door and shot him dead. That ain't right. Two different agencies, two fully complete different results. One officer had CIT training, which shows that this is not just about training, was told to fall back and didn't, and neither rendered medical assistance. From start to finish, the job was done wrong. Someone is dead and no one is accountable. I can't think of any other job where this would be allowed. Maybe if we had an administration now or then that acknowledged that police shouldn't be the responders in mental health crises. Never, ever. We might not have had Raul de la Cruz. Maybe if we had an administration now and then that understood that people should be fired when they do their job this wrong and it leads to death, we may not have had Raul. Who, by the way, his father called 311 specifically asking not to send law enforcement. And by the way, everyone agrees that law enforcement should not be the first people responding to these crises, including police officers. How much more simple can this be? Please prevent other people from getting their names added by stopping law enforcement from being the first responders and holding police accountable when something goes this wrong. These parents have had justice delayed time and time again. I understand there may be another delay because somebody's on vacation. That's absurd. That is disgusting. What if you were in these parents' shoes? Many times, administration leaders and leaders will talk about victims when they're talking about gun violence to get the emotion out when they're trying to pass bad policy. What about now with this victim and these parents? What do they feel? Let's hold people accountable. Let's fire bad officers. Let's not make easy conversations difficult so that we can have the real conversations that need to be had. Peace and blessings. Love and light.
Thank you, Jabari.
Thank you again to New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams. Next, I'd like to bring up Reem Ramadan, the manager of advocacy and organizing at the New York City Anti-Violence Project.
afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm gonna make it quick so I have this to help me. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Reem Ramadan. I'm an organizer with the New York City Anti-Violence Project. For those who don't know, AVP is a direct service and advocacy organization serving LGBTQ survivors of violence. We started in 1980 as a phone number going around community, a hotline to call if community needed support because we knew that NYPD does not keep us safe. 40 plus years later, we're still here saying the same thing. Stop harassing, attacking, and killing our people. We're here today to stand with Kowalski Trawick's parents to seek accountability for the cops that killed him in his own home, leaving him to die and closing the door behind him. We lost him in 2019. It's 2023 now, and these officers are still on the force.
That ain't right.
4 years later, and the NYPD is still delaying trial. Until when? Mr. and Mrs. Trawick have been traveling back and forth this whole time, and NYPD has done nothing but delay. The city needs to fire Officers Thompson and Davis, and we'll let them know that we'll keep showing up here until they do.
Yes.
So I hope y'all remember the chants that Rumi helped us with. So I'm gonna say, New York needs real safety. New York needs
Real safety!
New York needs
Real safety!
Fire Officers Thompson and Davis for Kowalski.
Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski.
New York needs
Real safety! Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski.
New York needs
Real safety! Fire Thompson and Davis for Kowalski.
Thank you, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Reem, and to the AVP, the Anti-Violence Project, and all the work that you do in this city for those of us who are rendered vulnerable by the conditions of our culture in this time. For our final speaker, I'd like to bring up Anthony Feliciano, who is VP for Community Mobilization at Housing Works.
I want to say also I'm a member of Justice Committee.
Right.
The sun is shining on us, but would it have been so beautiful if Kowalski would have felt that same sun?
Yes, it would have.
It's important to say again, we live in a nation where police officers publicly execute human beings on their own terms. Police officers wear blue certain amount of hours in their job, right? But we wear our skin, our language, how we show our affection and our love to each other 24/7. That's our reality. I'm here to state to stop protecting a corrupt law enforcement system. It is time to protect the communities that are impacted by that.
Yes.
They say, you hear a lot of saying that all cops are not bad, but they sure fit the description.
Right about it.
They sure fit the description. When will the cycle end? How many Black, Latinx, API, LGBTQ plus bodies will be enough? The truth is, it will never end, not without a complete societal shift. Police brutality is built into our nation.
That's right.
That's right.
From the get-go. The system is not failing us. It's doing what it was supposed to do. That's why we need to change it.
That's true.
Thompson and Davis took Kowalski's life. The least he can do for Kowalski's family to heal, for this city to heal, is to take their jobs.
Yes.
Right. Yes!
Thank you, Anthony, and Housing Works. So in closing, I just want to say, as Anthony was saying, do not look away. These videos are incredibly violent. They are graphic, but this is what we're experiencing in this society. That the case that Kowalski Trawick's experience is a uniquely American experience when it comes to the conditions and lives of Black people in these states. That can be overwhelming. Thinking about the multiple years, the hundreds of years of state violence, of white supremacist culture. However, what is not hard, what is not overwhelming, is that the Mayor Adams and the NYPD Commissioner today can make the decision to honor Kowalski's humanity by firing those police officers. To respect these two people who came to our city seeking justice for their lost loved one, to respect them, fire these cops. Today. Right. And finally, to respect what we're trying to build in this city, fire these cops. Today. That's right. So I like to say thank you to all the speakers, everyone who came out, the groups who organized this, Justice Committee, Woke New York, the Anti-Violence Project, Make the Road New York, Housing Works, Audrey Lorde Project, and Showing Up for Racial Justice, and groups that came out also included some CPR groups. And also I want to shout out to some of the electeds that are here that did not speak. I want to say Councilmember Lincoln Ressler. I think I seen Comptroller Brad Lander. And am I leaving anybody out? I think we're good. So again, thank you so much, and please mobilize this media to make sure that people understand what's going on here, and to remember this person who was killed. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're taking questions from neighbors. If there's any questions from neighbors.
I want to know, do you think this is a hate crime? This is more of a hate crime because he's gay, something like that, or LGBT?
Do we believe it's a hate crime against LGBTQ, against, I guess, his blackness?
Yeah.
I would say that this kind of mobilization of violence tends to happen to vulnerable bodies made vulnerable by state oppression, by white supremacist culture. So I would say if you go into a man's house, he's black, he's queer, and you kill him, does that happen on the Lower East Side? I don't know.
Yeah, I want to know, I know that using the reactionaries on Twitter, I think we know who they are. I want to know, since one of the officers are black, how will you respond to this thing about white supremacy? You're saying white supremacy about the press conference.
Well, they describe it for us all the time, the police. There's a thin blue line, and their identity is not about their racial backgrounds or ethnic backgrounds. It's about this profession that becomes an identity. So whether a cop is black, brown, or white, or green, or trans, or whatever it is, the fact is that policing as a system has a culture of violence that is anti-black, sexist, classist, homophobic, transphobic. So that does not matter.
What is the status of the family's lawsuit?
What is the status of the family's lawsuit?
The civil lawsuit is still pending, and that's a shame, because what is there really to discuss? What's the issue? What's the holdup? I've been here, we've been pursuing that, and we'll continue to do so. But this is how the city runs. If we hold out and we hide, then hopefully it'll go away. I didn't go away when I represented Ramarley Graham, and I damn sure ain't going away representing Kowalski Trayway. So we'll be here, and we'll continue.
Thank you.
The trial date definitely set for April 24th, like that's confirmed.
Here's the funny thing about confirmation. The proof is in the pudding. And I'm on a diet right now. Okay? So we'll know more when we see more.
But the trial date is starting on Monday, April 23rd. It'll go for days during that week. We don't know how many days. It will restart May 11th. So there's a 2-week break. As Juwanza stated earlier, there's a 2-week interruption between the prosecution, most of the prosecution's case, until the second part, simply because the cops have an NYPD official testifying on their behalf who is taking vacation, even though the original dates were set since last time.
Where does the trial take place?
Right here. So it'll be at One Police Plaza. It'll be the 4th floor. It'll be. I'm working. Chu Young Kang with the Justice Committee. It'll be at One Police Plaza right behind us, the 4th floor. 10 a.m. each day, unless the NYPD trial judge changes the time. So we expect that each day will start at 10 a.m. If you follow the Justice Committee at justicecommittee.com or on Twitter, I think it's Watch the Cops, they'll also post updates about the trial time changes.
All right, thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
And if there's, I think there were a few media who wanted to do specific interviews with Mrs. or Mr. Trawick or the attorney afterwards. Please make sure you check in with Eliel, who's back there, and he'll arrange it. And also Councilmember Sanchez. All right, y'all, we're going to close out.
Hey, Hey, Julia, this is 5:30, right? Tonight's 5:30 for the
It
press.
is, yeah, at Athens Square.
All right, cool. I was making sure
Yeah.
because Zach put it up, he deleted it. So I was like, I thought he got shut down. Like they told me. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't know why he deleted
Yeah, it was 5:30
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
square, right?
Yeah,
I'll be there
yeah.
tonight. All right, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate it.